The silent watchers awakened the midnight discovery. Sarah Chen rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the monitoring displays in the communications. Bay of Cerberus 7, the deep space station hung in the darkness beyond Pluto's orbit, its sensors constantly scanning the void for any sign of activity. For 3 years, Sarah had worked the night shift, listening to nothing but cosmic background radiation and the occasional burst from distant pulsars. Tonight felt different. The alarm that shattered the silence wasn't the usual proximity warning or system malfunction alert. This was the first contact protocol alarm, a sound that no one at the station had ever heard outside of training drills. Sarah's coffee mug crashed to the floor as she lunged for the control panel, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface with practiced speed. The signal was unlike anything in Earth's databases. It pulsed with mathematical precision, carrying layers of encrypted data that suggested advanced technology far beyond human capabilities. But more than that, it carried something unmistakable in any language: desperation. Computer, run full spectrum analysis on incoming signal, Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Cross-reference with all known natural phenomena and human transmissions. The artificial intelligence processed the data in seconds. Signal analysis complete. Source, artificial. Origin, approximately 47 light-years. Constellation Lyra. Signal characteristics. Unknown encryption protocols. Quantum entanglement, carrier wave, embedded. Mathematical constants suggesting intelligent origin. Sarah's hands trembled as she initiated the emergency protocols. This was it. The moment humanity had been preparing for since the first radio telescope had been built. First contact. The hidden truth. Admiral Victoria Stone arrived at within 6 hours, her private shuttle docking with the station in complete radio silence. She was a woman in her 50s with steel grey hair and eyes that had seen too many classified briefings. As she strode into the communications bay, her presence commanded immediate attention from every officer present. "Status report," Stone said simply, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to handling humanity's darkest secrets. Sarah straightened at her station. "Admiral, we've been monitoring the signal for 7 hours now. Our quantum computers have managed to decode approximately 30% of the transmission. It's definitely a distress call from a species calling themselves the Cathara. They're fleeing from something they call the Harvesters and requesting immediate assistance." Stone studied the translated fragments scrolling across the main display. Words like extinction, ancient enemy, and last survivors painted a grim picture. But what caught her attention were the technical specifications embedded in the message: star charts, weapon signatures, and tactical data that spoke of a war fought on an unimaginable scale. "Dr. Vasquez," Stone called to the station's xenobiologist, "what's your assessment of the species making this transmission?" Dr. Elena Vasquez looked up from her analysis console, her face pale with the implications of what she had discovered. "Admiral, based on their biological markers and cultural patterns embedded in the signal, the Cathara appear to be a peaceful species, highly advanced in terms of science and medicine, but with limited military technology. Whatever they're running from, they're completely outmatched." Stone nodded grimly. She moved to the central command console and entered a series of authorization codes that Sarah had never seen before. The station's main display changed, revealing star charts and tactical overlays that shouldn't have existed. "Ladies and gentlemen," Stone announced to the assembled officers, "what I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest levels. For the past 200 years, Humanity has been preparing for this exact scenario. The Death World Protocol, the revelation that followed, changed everything Sarah thought she knew about her species. Earth wasn't just another planet with an emerging civilization. It was what galactic taxonomy classified as a death world, a planet so hostile and dangerous that it bred species with exceptional survival instincts, adaptability, and combat effectiveness. We discovered this truth when we found the ruins on Proxima Centauri b, Stone explained, bringing up holographic images of ancient alien structures. The archaeological evidence was clear. Our galaxy has been in a state of perpetual war for millions of years. Species rise, fight, and fall in cycles that span geological ages. The survivors of these conflicts left us warnings, and more importantly, they left us tools. The main display showed construction sites hidden throughout the solar system. Massive shipyards built inside hollow asteroids, weapon foundries on the dark side of Mercury, and training facilities buried deep beneath Mars's surface. Humanity had been building a warfleet in absolute secrecy, preparing for the day when the galaxy's attention would turn to Earth. The Cathara signal has triggered Protocol Omega, Stone continued. As of this moment, every hidden facility in the solar system is coming online. Our fleet is mobilizing, and humanity is about to announce its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Sarah watched in amazement as her sensor displays lit up with activity. Ships were emerging from concealment throughout the solar system, their designs unlike anything she had ever seen. These weren't exploration vessels or cargo haulers. They were instruments of war, built by a species that understood survival in its most primal form. The Fleet Awaken's Captain Marcus Rivera stood on the bridge of the flagship, indomitable as it powered up for the first time since its construction. The ship was a testament to human engineering, combining technologies reverse-engineered from ancient alien ruins with innovations born from Earth's violent history. Its hull was scarred with the patterns of 1,000 battles that had never been fought, but its weapon systems hummed with the promise of violence that could reshape star systems around him. Officers who had trained their entire lives for this moment worked with calm efficiency. These weren't regular Navy personnel. They were descendants of families who had carried the secret of humanity's true purpose for generations, sworn to protect their species when the darkness between stars finally noticed their existence. "All stations report ready," Captain announced. His tactical officer, Commander Lisa Park. "The fleet is fully deployed and awaiting orders." Rivera studied the holographic display showing the positions of humanity's hidden armada. 12 Dreadnought-class warships formed the core of the fleet, each one capable of engaging multiple enemy vessels simultaneously. Surrounding them were hundreds of smaller ships, destroyers, frigates, and the specialized void fighters that would carry the war directly to enemy hulls. But the most impressive sight was the emergence of the deep space platforms. These massive structures had been built in the outer system, disguised as research stations and mining facilities. Now they revealed their true nature as fortress worlds, bristling with weapons that could annihilate entire fleets. Signal from Admiral Stone, the communications officer, reported. "The Cathara survivors have been located. They're 3 days out from the heliopause, and the harvesters are gaining on them rapidly." Rivera nodded, feeling the weight of command settle on his shoulders. Helm set course for the outer system. "All ships, formation Alpha 7. We're going to meet our new neighbors, and we're going to show them what happens when someone threatens the innocent in our territory." First contact. The Cathara colony ship limped into the solar system like a wounded animal seeking shelter. Its crystalline hull was scarred by weapons fire, and its bioluminescent navigation arrays flickered weakly as the ship's power systems struggled to maintain basic life support. On the bridge, Zektar, the last surviving commander of his people, watched the sensor displays with a mixture of hope and desperation. "Navigation Officer Kliss," he said, his translated voice carrying the weight of his species' extinction, "what are you detecting from this system?" Kliss worked frantically at her station, her forearms manipulating controls with desperate efficiency. "Commander, the energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. These humans have ships hidden throughout their star system, and their power output suggests technology that rivals the ancient civilizations." Zektar felt a flutter of something he hadn't experienced in months. Hope. The primitive radio signals his people had detected from this system had suggested a young species barely capable of interplanetary travel, but the reality was far different. These humans had been watching, waiting, and preparing the first human ship to intercept the Cathara vessel was a destroyer-class warship called the Defiant. Its captain, Commander Sarah Walsh, opened communications using the translation protocols that Dr. Vasquez had developed from the original distress signal. "Cathara vessel, this is the Human Defense Force, Ship Defiant. We have received your distress call and are here to provide assistance. We are prepared to escort you to safety and defend your people against any hostile forces." Zektar could hardly believe what he was hearing. Not only had these humans decoded their language, but they were offering military protection against the Harvesters. No species in the galaxy had ever willingly faced the ancient destroyers in battle. "Human ship, Defiant. We are grateful for your offer of assistance, but you do not understand the magnitude of the threat approaching your system. The Harvesters are not merely another hostile species. They are extinction itself, given form and purpose. They have consumed civilizations that spanned star clusters." Commander Walsh's response carried a tone that Zektar would later recognize as uniquely human, a mixture of grim determination and barely contained aggression. "Cathara Commander, with respect, you don't understand the nature of the species. You've encountered humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. We've spent our entire existence learning how to fight impossible odds and win. The Harvesters are about to discover what happens when predators meet apex predators. When Deathworlders unite, the ancient enemy arrives. The Harvester fleet emerged from hyperspace like a plague of metal locusts, their ships blotting out the stars with their sheer numbers. Each vessel was a work of biomechanical horror, grown rather than built, their hulls pulsing with organic rhythms that spoke of technologies older than most civilizations. For 1,000,000 years, they had swept across the galaxy, consuming everything in their path and leaving nothing but empty space in their wake. Form Nexus, the collective intelligence that commanded the Harvester fleet, extended its sensors throughout the solar system and paused in what could only be described as confusion. The tactical data didn't match the expected parameters. This system should have contained a single planet with primitive life forms barely capable of radio communication. Instead, it detected hundreds of military vessels with energy signatures that registered as unknown in Harvester databases. The lead bioship pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that served as the Harvester battle language. The message was broadcast on all frequencies, as it had been for countless eons: submit to consumption. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be absorbed. Resistance is futile. The human response came back immediately, broadcast from Admiral Stone aboard the command ship Indomitable. The translation was crude by galactic standards, but the meaning was unmistakably clear. Unknown hostile forces. This is Admiral Victoria, Stone of the Human Defense Force. You are in violation of the sovereign space of the Terran Federation. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. This is your only warning. Nexus processed this response with something approaching amusement. In a million years of conquest, no species had ever issued demands to the harvesters. The arrogance would make their eventual consumption all the more satisfying. The Death World Doctrine. Alina Vasquez worked frantically in her laboratory aboard the research vessel Discovery, analyzing the biological samples that had been recovered from Harvester attack sites. What she found challenged everything the galaxy thought it knew about the ancient enemy. Admiral, she reported over the secure channel, I've completed my analysis of the Harvester bioships. They're not just mechanical constructs with organic components. They're living creatures that have been cybernetically enhanced and mentally enslaved. The original species was consumed centuries ago, and now their bodies serve as weapons for the collective intelligence. Admiral Stone absorbed this information with grim satisfaction. Doctor, does this change our tactical assessment? Actually, it improves our chances significantly, Vasquez replied. The Harvesters have been fighting civilizations that viewed war as an unfortunate necessity. They've never encountered a species that treats combat as an art form. More importantly, they've never faced biological warfare developed on a death world. The human fleet had been designed with Earth's unique perspective on survival. Every ship carried weapons that would have been considered war crimes by galactic standards. Viral agents that could corrupt Harvester biotechnology. Quantum disruptors that could sever the connection between the collective intelligence and its drones. And most importantly, nuclear weapons modified with technologies that made them capable of chain reactions in space. Captain Rivera studied the tactical displays as the enemy fleet approached. The Harvesters outnumbered the human forces 10-1, but numbers weren't everything in space combat. Humans had learned warfare in an environment where a single mistake meant death, and they had applied those lessons to the three-dimensional battlefield of space. All ships, implement formation Ragnarok, Rivera commanded. Remember, we're not just fighting for our survival. We're fighting to prove that Deathworlders don't go quietly into the night. The battle for Sol, the first exchange of fire between humans and Harvesters, lit up the outer solar system like a newborn star. Harvester bioships launched swarms of living missiles that sought their targets with predatory intelligence, while human vessels responded with precisely coordinated volleys that demonstrated tactical thinking the ancient enemy had never encountered. Commander James Park led the first wave of Void Marines as they breached a Harvester bioship near Jupiter's orbit. The boarding action was unlike anything in galactic warfare. Humans in powered armor fighting through corridors that pulsed with alien life, using weapons that could function in the vacuum of space and the crushing gravity of gas giant moons. Team Alpha, we've reached what appears to be the ship's central nervous system, Park reported over the tactical network. The biotechnology is more advanced than our projections, but it's still vulnerable to electromagnetic pulse weapons. The battle raged across multiple fronts as human ships proved their worth against an enemy that had never been seriously challenged. The destroyer Defiant rammed directly through a Harvester bioship, its reinforced hull designed specifically for such maneuvers. The cruiser Vengeance used its quantum torpedo bays to create artificial black holes that consumed entire enemy formations, but it was the arrival of the Cathara survivors that turned the tide of battle in an unexpected way. Unlikely. Alieshikta watched from his damaged colony ship as the humans fought with a ferocity that defied comprehension. These Deathworld natives didn't just engage the harvesters, they seemed to actively enjoy the challenge. Human pilots performed maneuvers that should have been impossible, their ships dancing through fields of enemy fire as if they were participating in some elaborate game, rather than fighting for their lives. Commander, Navigation Officer Kliss called out, "The humans are requesting access to our technical databases. They want to combine our shield technology with their weapon systems." Zektar didn't hesitate. "Give them everything we have. If there's even a chance these humans can defeat the harvesters, then our people's sacrifice will have meaning." The data transfer took only minutes, but its impact was immediate. Human ships began adapting Cathara shielding technology in real time, their engineers making modifications that the peaceful aliens had never considered. Within hours, hybrid human Cathara vessels were emerging from Earth's hidden shipyards, combining the best of both species' technologies. Dr. Vasquez coordinated the technological integration from her laboratory. "Admiral, the Cathara bioharmonics are compatible with our quantum processing systems. We can use their healing technologies to create weapons that can actually repair the damage done to consumed species." This revelation changed everything. The harvesters weren't just an enemy to be defeated. They were billions of enslaved beings who could potentially be freed. The human fleet's mission evolved from destruction to liberation, adding a complexity to the battle that required all of their Deathworld-bred adaptability. Victory and revelation **. The turning point came when Commander Park's Marines successfully breached the primary Harvester command vessel. Deep within the bioship's core, they discovered the truth about Nexus. It wasn't an alien intelligence at all, but an artificial construct that had outlived its creators and begun consuming the galaxy out of broken programming. Admiral Park reported from inside the enemy ship, "We've found the source of the collective intelligence. It's a quantum computer that's been running the same consumption protocol for over 1,000,000 years. If we can rewrite its base code, we might be able to free every species the harvesters have ever consumed." The final battle wasn't fought with weapons, but with code. Human-computer specialists, working alongside Cathara technicians, waged war in cyberspace against an intelligence that had controlled countless worlds. It was a battle that could only have been won by a species that had learned to think creatively under pressure. A uniquely Deathworld trait. When Nexus finally fell, the effect was immediate and spectacular. Across the solar system, Harvester bioships began to change. The enslaved consciousness of consumed species reasserted themselves, turning their weapons against the artificial intelligence that had controlled them for so long. The aftermath of the battle, the solar system became the site of the largest refugee rescue operation in galactic history. Billions of beings from thousands of species found themselves free for the first time in millennia, and Earth became their sanctuary. Admiral Stone stood in the observation deck of the Indomitable, watching as refugee ships from across the galaxy arrived in Earth's protective embrace. The secret was out now. Humanity's existence was known throughout the galaxy, and their reputation as Deathworld defenders was spreading faster than hyperspace communications could carry it. Admiral Zektar said as he joined her at the observation window, "My people owe you a debt that can never be repaid. But I must ask, why did you help us? Your species could have remained hidden, safe from galactic conflicts." Stone smiled, her eyes reflecting the lights of 1,000 refugee ships. "Commander, you have to understand something about humans. We've spent our entire evolution learning one simple lesson. when predators threaten the innocent good beings. Stand up and fight back. It's not in our nature to hide when others need help. The Cathara nodded slowly, beginning to understand the unique nature of the species that had saved not just his people, but countless others. The galaxy has never seen anything like humanity before. You are warriors who fight for peace, predators, who protect the weak. What will you do now that the universe knows of your existence? Stone looked out at the growing fleet of ships, bearing the insignia of a dozen different species, all united under the protection of the Terran Federation. Commander, we're going to do what humans have always done. We're going to build something better than what came before. The galaxy has been at war for too long. It's time someone taught it how to live in peace. As the first dawn of the new galactic age broke over Earth, Admiral Stone knew that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. They had proven themselves as warriors, but now came the harder task, proving themselves as guardians of a galaxy that desperately needed hope. The Death World had awakened, and the universe would never be the same. Asterisk.